Folks. So we are live for show number 113. That's 113. Have Adria here with us. Renikia may be joining us later. So welcome to show 113 of the Axe Flipper Man. Axe Flipper Man. People be calling me that too. Flipper. Yeah, Flipper Man. Axe Flip Man. Flippinar show. That's a lot, ain't it? We got to shorten that. But we'll just go back with the Flippinar. Yeah, but Axe Flip Man. But anyway, so welcome aboard, peoples. As my mama would say, which is incorrect.
I'll take over here.
Two-way. Yeah, go ahead and take over. I hope I got it right.
I'm looking at it on YouTube.
So we good?
Yeah, ain't nobody saying nothing though.
Okay. All right, we're good.
Okay. So welcome, as Ty just stated, this is show number 113. We are streaming live across Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This is the place where you can ask your questions, and we will answer your questions in regards to wholesaling houses and real estate investing. So Axe Flip Man, you are live. Hey, Ashley, JJ, Big Brother Bo, Ram Evans, and I see you guys on Instagram. Coco Cuff, that is so cute. I actually like that. Gentry Monica, Latiana, Flipping Construction. I see you all. Make sure you go ahead and post your questions so we can begin reading those. And I don't know if Ty's been mentioning it to you guys, but it's most definitely still a thing. Make sure that you join the Wholesaling Real Estate with the Flipman Facebook group. There's quite a few people, a couple of thousand people in that group that can help you day to day and answer questions and get a little feedback from your peers. Also, don't forget, has anybody been sending in video questions?
They don't. I guess after we put up, a couple people say they don't want to do that.
They don't want to do that. Okay. Well, right. The option's still there. If you want to send in through Instagram a video question, Ty will answer it and post that on our live feeds, in addition to YouTube or Facebook later. Tag a friend. I see the questions are beginning to roll in. So if you have nothing to add.
Yeah, just make sure you join us on Instagram and Twitter, Axe Flip Man. She mentioned the Facebook group, so let's get it.
All right, let's get it. Dun, dun, dun. Have you asked them what they think about like the Flipman thing?
The remix.
The remix. Yeah, y'all like that? I think it's nice. It's actually nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Shout out to Dutch Jackson.
Great Jackson.
Dutch
Jackson. Ooh, that's like from Hoodlum. Dutch was on that. Yeah, that was one of my favorite movies. Yes, Timothy, his shirt is fire. Binge grind stack.
Oh yeah, I ain't want one of these in a minute.
Yes, that's what we suggest.
Yeah, this is a product of Adria's work. She's a master printer.
Master splinter, that's a rat.
Printer.
Okay.
Printer.
What's up, first team from Palm Bay, Florida? Cashamo and Drink, Eat, Travel, Repeat says, I love your vids. Okay. First question. Let's go ahead and hop into it. Christian Serrano from YouTube wants to know, do you put your Bandit signs more on phone poles or stop sign poles?
Well, I'm a cable tie guy, so most of everything that I do is going to be wrapped around stop signs, do not enter signs, yield signs, no parking, mileage signs if they're at intersections where people have to stop. So to answer your question, I'm normally going to use cable ties, so I rarely do actual wooden poles anymore.
All right, thank you for that question. Shaq Smith, I see you. He's from West Side, D-Town. Glad to have you here. Chip NJ says, hey, Flipman, my name is Charles. He's from Miami, Florida. He has some land under contract, and he's trying to get it closed by the 25th of this month. 6,611 square feet. Don't see the rest of that question, Chip. So I'm just going to ask a question for him. Any suggestions on land?
Well, the first thing is what makes it a great deal. you would need to answer that first. What makes this actual a great deal?
Okay. Let's see here. I think Christian has I think maybe this is the same Christian. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just going down the list though. Can you write off prop stream for a tax write-off? You think, is that a business expenditure?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's part of you doing your job. So
most definitely. Every bit of it.
Huntley is from Illinois and says, I just found out the state of Illinois has made it illegal to wholesale houses for more than 2 deals. Yeah, we mentioned that. I think we got to educate ourselves a little bit more. And actually, we're not in Illinois, so it doesn't affect us here, but most definitely it affects some of our subscribers and people that are trying to get into this wholesale business. Have you heard anything else about that?
No, I haven't heard anything else about it. And I've been keep saying I was going to dive into it a little more about the Renika here. But a couple of things from my understanding, I may can be corrected on this. Some people may already know this or it's already been figured out. Transactional funding should be a huge part of being able to put those deals together now. Also, setting up an LLC for each one of your deals with that can be a little challenging or whatever, but not really, because they're really actually easy to set up, and you're basically selling your LLC. So you put it on the contract with the LLC and basically sell your business, whatever, and that would be your actual quote unquote assignment fee. Would be another way. Just thinking outside the box is what I would do. I know it wouldn't stop me. It'll make me want to push even harder, because most people now will shy away from it or whatever. So those that are still standing will stand and make a lot of money in the state of Illinois, because the quote unquote law that has scared everybody off to say wholesaling is illegal. You're going to have those true players, those true gators. I wish it was over here close enough for me to get. They're going to figure out a way to take advantage of that new law, more so than look at it and, hey, I can't do it now. That's the way I would be grinding if I was there or whatever. So you probably know what the question was about Illinois and the law or whatever. So
and
welcome aboard,
Renika. You're absolutely right. It's always a loophole into every law that they put together. So you just got to find, how do I still continue to wholesale? And like Ty said, transactional funding is probably going to be the answer to that.
Yeah. And welcome aboard to show number 113. This is Renika Williams in Atlanta. She's with Adrian and myself. So welcome.
I got this.
All right.
I was waiting for you to finish.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Jeez, let me do my job. All right, everyone, as you see on your screen and can hear, Miss Renika Williams has joined us fresh from the ATL. She too, very, very successful in this real estate game. And as always, we appreciate her joining us on our Thursday Flippinars to answer questions that you have in regards to wholesaling real estate with little to no cash, and just any investment questions in regards to real estate that you might have. What up, Rennie?
Hello. How are y'all today?
We aight.
Super tight.
Yeah.
That sounds like a rap. I say we aight, you say super tight.
Super tight.
No, you behind the beat, dude. Okay. Crystal, I see you on the Facebook group. Crystal is an admin for the Wholesaling Real Estate with Flipman. She's also specializes in taxes for realtors and real estate agents. So a lot of times if you have questions, we would direct you to speak with her. You can hear her up. She's good at answering those questions that we might suggest you seek a CPA out for. Crystal, I am so sorry. We still haven't sent you your shirt. I got your shirt. It'll go in the mail tomorrow. Binge grind stack. Crystal killing it. Where's she at? Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Chris, I know you've been wanting to do an interview. We can do it. You just have to remind me. If you don't remind me, I won't remember. So we can still do it. So.
Old man memory.
Yeah.
I didn't say that though. Okay. Although everybody heard it. Our next question. Let's go ahead. It is from Ram Evans, and this is on YouTube. She says, first, thank you for hosting this event each week. I would like to ask, when doing the earnest money, I know it can be negotiated. However, if you want to go through a title company, explain that. I mean, normally you wait for a buyer to go through the title company. So I just wanted clarification.
Where's that?
That would be from Ram Evans on YouTube.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, to answer your question, it's the same process. It's the same process that you would dealing with an attorney, a real estate attorney. Once you get your properties on the contract, you have your end buyer. I would prefer to wait until you have that ABC contract. You have that end buyer in place, and that end buyer have already seen the property. They're ready to put up their earnest money. So you submit both of those contracts to your title company so they could pull title and clear title for you.
Okay, there you have it, Ram. I hope that answered your questions. Malik Aldos, and this is from YouTube. How old do you recommend the properties in a specific area to be? I'm guessing you can't wholesale properties that are only 5 to 10 years old. That's not necessarily true, though, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, you can wholesale anything with equity in it. If that property has equity in it and someone's willing to come and buy it for the higher price, you can wholesale it. It's all about what the market is willing to pay for. So if someone is willing to pay for it at retail price or a price where with no equity or a little equity in there, as long as someone is willing to pay for it, you can wholesale it. So it all depends on you having that equity in that property.
Okay, hopefully that answered. Yes, Crystal, his memory is terrible. Sorry.
What you want me to do?
I got pills for that, man. Melatonin.
Hey, I went to the to get my
eyes.
Yeah, to get my contact, and they said you hadn't been, you have to do an exam every so many months or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was when the lady, the what is optometrist?
That is correct.
Optometrist. He said, "Are you on any medication? Are you such?" I was happy to say, no.
Okay, kind of like Grady. Nope. Okay, Grady.
Hey, when I thought about that, I said, I think, okay, I'm doing something right.
You're doing something right. That's a good thing.
Yeah, something. I'm fat as hell, but I'm doing something right.
Oh, whatever.
I'm trying. It's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard. Anybody wants to help me to train me? I'm willing to trade bar some services out here. It's hard, man.
Next question, Carlton Darville. Don't know if you remember, but I've been grinding since April, currently on my 5th deal now, and I have 3 in escrow. I just want to thank you and Renikia for everything. I've learned a lot from you guys. Keep up the great work. And that was Carlton on Facebook.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's what it's about. Now you have to pay it forward. Go and teach someone else again.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's what's up, man.
Absolutely.
You send that check to 1678 Montgomery Highway. I ain't asked for that much, man.
Okay. Let's see here. From Jake from California, not State Farm. He wants to know what is the best way to find contact info of the owner after you find what could probably be a great deal. So it sounds like a skip tracing type question, possibly. Mm-hmm. So everyone pay attention. I see there's a lot in there.
So how's that software?
Well, he only has a single
single
person that he's trying to find, so we had to give him an alternative.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can go with some of those ones on the list that you normally have there. What was his name?
Yes, so there's multiple ways to find a homeowner. And one of the ways is to go to the tax assessor or property records of the county that the property sits in, and look up the property and figure out what is the mailing address for that particular property. And you can mail them a letter, mail them a yellow letter, postcard, let them know that you're interested in purchasing their property. Or you can skip trace their information and try to find their phone number. And I can give you the list of that as well. Second.
So people, go ahead and get your pens and paper ready, or either just mark this as, ooh, I don't even know what
Okay, here we go.
time stamp this is.
Maybe we start about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So about
15 minutes into the video.
Yeah, about 15 minutes in. Yeah.
So here's the list for skip tracing services that you could, if you're looking for onesies or you're just looking for someone's information, you have TLO, which is kind of expensive on the expensive side. You have Prospect Now. You have Been Verified, and you also have Locate Plus. And you can pretty much, put their information in, and then it spits out all the background information on that particular client, such as phone numbers, addresses, relatives, and things of that nature. And you can try to locate them that way.
All right. Thank you. I hope you guys got that list. And if not, again, come back to the 15-minute mark. And I actually posted them in the YouTube chat as well. TLO, Prospect Now, Locate Plus, and Been Verified. I did spell that wrong. I put Been Verified. Okay. Just a little typo there. Now on Instagram, Mr. VIP317 wants to know, when do you start to research debt on a property? So when is it important to know what's owed, I guess?
Okay, that's a really good question. It's not really up to you to research that. You ask the homeowner, hey, do you have a mortgage on the property? Do you owe, is there a mortgage lien on the property? And then they should be honest with you and tell you how much they owe on the property. But worst case scenario, if they're not honest with you or they don't tell you how much they owe on the property, it will come out once they begin to clear title. Because one of the titles one of the liens that they have to clear is that mortgage. So allow the attorney to pull the payoff letter. You can also ask the homeowner if they can provide a payoff letter for you, or they can just tell you how much is owed on the property.
Okay. Sticking with questions from Instagram, Biological Son says, is there any way wholesalers can partner on deals? I received an offer, but wasn't sure if it was common practice. So it sounds like you're talking about JV, a joint venture with another wholesaler. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I co-wholesale all the time. All the time I can co-wholesale this deal we have on the table. Most importantly, co-wholesaling is good because you're able to tap into other individuals' network. They may have a property, you have the buyer, you may have the buyer, they have the property, and then you all figure out, well, what is that fee? Do y'all split it 50-50? Do you, get whatever it is that's on top of that person's other wholesaler's fee? You all have to come together and figure out how you're going to work that in between, you all in between the B side. And it's pretty easy, but absolutely, I will recommend to network with other wholesalers and co-wholesale. I mean, it's less work. You don't have to go out and find a property all the time. You're a wholesaler, your co-wholesale colleague has a property, you have the money, you have the buyer, and y'all can make deals happen like that.
Ty, any thoughts?
Ditto.
Okay, my speechless friend. Okay, William Baker.
I'm just glad to be here.
One more time. Glad to be the number.
I don't answer questions. It's a TV show about a guy, and the cop comes to his door and he says, I don't answer questions. And she's like, can you tell me what such and such is? He's like, I don't answer questions.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it's the maid man. I don't know. It's about a hitman or something. Oh my gosh. You don't watch that. William Baker on Facebook says, what's up, Ty? When are we going to talk SEOs for getting deals?
You mean like search engine optimization? Yeah, asking. Yeah.
Mr. Baker, is that what you mean by SEO? Search engine optimization. What? Okay. What? Okay.
If you don't know what that is, you know what it is, right?
I do.
Oh, well, if you don't, if those that don't know what it is, whenever you search on Google or what else out there, I guess that really is Bing or whatever. The first few results are going to probably normally be paid advertisements. Then the stuff in the middle, between the middle and the bottom, is organic search. And if you can get in that organic search, you're basically getting there for free unless you pay somebody to help you get there. But that's search engine optimization for your particular website. I guess that's what he's referring to. So
he says that is what I mean. Yes,
okay.
I'm helping people's site hit the top for REIs every day. So maybe that's a service.
Well, just hit me up, man. Yeah, we can talk. Yo, okay. I need that in my life.
Let's see here. Yeah. On Instagram, Mullen wants to know, should he or she, wholesale locally before beginning to attempt wholesaling virtually?
That's a good question. That's a definitely good question.
Well, if you're just in my opinion on it, if you're in a decent sized city, and when I say a decent sized city, I'm gonna say probably 75,000 population for that city. Wow. And then if you're surrounding areas and more, you can probably do a deal a month for sure, or whatever. Just grind. You're gonna have to probably really grind though. But once you start getting into populations where the greater area is over 1 million or even 500,000, I mean, we just go at 500,000. You can normally start there, learn the game right there in your backyard. I'm not gonna limit you by no means, but it's a lot easier in most cases to put deals together with where you're familiar, where you have access to get help. Because the one part of the equation, virtual versus locally, and I don't care if you are virtual or local, is that you have to be able to manage the seller and the buyer not needing you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. You need somebody to represent you on the ground, whether it's locally, which is more probably be you, or virtually. Mm-hmm. If you can take care of that, then yeah, it doesn't matter where you wholesale at that point. If you take care of being able someone there that's representing your interest, doesn't matter where you wholesale. So to answer the question, I sort of went backwards on it, but what do you think, baby girl?
I would agree. I would definitely agree. I think it's easier to wholesale in your backyard, especially when you first getting out the gate, because it's so many moving parts. You don't know what you don't know. And it's easier for someone to get over on you in the area that you're not there. Whatever the case may be, they can say, hey, it's no deal. The next thing you know, the deal closed with that same buyer, but you're not there to even determine that. So I think it's easier to start off in your backyard. Can it be done? Absolutely. I remember just a testimony when I first started wholesaling. I was doing it in my backyard, and I had this colleague that wanted me to try to wholesale in California, New York, and all over the place. And everything just failed. Everything totally failed. And it was like, it took me to the left field when I could have just specialized in my backyard. And I found that was a lot more lucrative than trying to get so many different people in place that you don't know, never met, and to try to wholesale nationwide. But it is doable.
Okay. CJ Sims on Facebook has a question. It is, I say that every time, but everybody has a question, right? Okay. Hey, Flipman, can I wholesale while in probate? Also, should I get my contract notarized? And when should I do a title search? So quite a few questions balled up into that one. So tackling the first one, can you wholesale while in probate? Or I guess a home while it's in probate?
What he means is going through the probate process.
I don't know.
Well, that's going to depend. So I know here in Alabama, I don't know what the time frame is after the death, but assuming it's been a year, I know that's long enough. Even if it hasn't been pushed through probate or it's pending probate, if the heirs that are available will agree on everything, it can be done here without going through that process. Again, it may be different in other states. What they'll do is the closing attorney or the title company, they get them to sign what's called an heir affidavit, right? And they get, say if it's 3 people, so those 3 people have to get 2 people each to say that they've known them for X number of years and that they were the offspring of whoever passed away, or whoever, or not offspring, but relative or whatever, to the person that owned the real estate previously, that, you know, the deceased person. So that would be a total of 6 people, right? And so, and it could be, the last one I did, it was for the same, it was 2 people, it was for 2 sisters. So those 2 people signed off for both of them. So really you only need 2 people, if my memory is correct, that say they know them. And that's not hard to do. And so as long as, like, now if it would have been a situation where like it was only 2 sisters, those were the only kids, right? So the airship stopped there. But if it would have been a situation like it was 3 of them and they had a brother and he passed away, but he had 4 kids, now those 4 kids have say so also, and you have to get them on the same page. So that's where it can start to break down, is when you have multiple kids, and then number one, that's a lot in itself to get them all to agree. Multiple kids, and then one of them has passed away, or multiple of them have passed away, then their heirs become a part of the equation. So you have to bring all those people in play. I hope I'm answering this question. I just know how it is done here in Alabama, that you can bypass that probate process after, I don't know what the number, I think it's either 6 months to a year after the person is deceased, as long as the heirs on the same page. You know, you can get, you know, that they can get title insurance based on what they call an heir affidavit. I think I'm saying it right. So, did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. The next portion of the question was, should he get his contract notarized? Is that even necessary?
Oh, notarized? No, I've never done that before. You ever done that before, Renee?
No, not at all.
No.
That could be extra.
Yeah.
Extra stuff.
Yeah.
No, you don't need that.
Now that heir affidavit, I was just talking, you have to get that notarized. But you know, you can get traveling. Like one of my buddies is a notary or whatever. I just get him a C note. He'd be glad to do it. But you can get notaries to meet you wherever. You know what I'm saying? You can go into banks. Some insurance. Well, in most cases, all insurance offices or whatever. But it's not hard to get someone to go with you to notarize. But as far as a purchase and sales agreement, it's not necessary to get those notarized per se.
Okay. I'm a Lyman. Amalium. I think I got it. Amalium. And this is from YouTube. Says, I found a property that is LLC owned. Looks as if it was purchased years ago, but the house is still boarded up and has a tarp on the roof. How would you suggest I approach this situation? Any different than any other property?
I didn't hear the question clearly.
So there's a property that is LLC owned, and it looks as if it was purchased years ago, but the house is still boarded up and has a tarp on the roof. How would you suggest the subscriber goes with this situation?
How do you find an owner of an LLC?
Secretary of State.
Yeah. Just go to the Secretary of State of the state where the LLC, I guess, resides, and that's where you find the mailing address of the LLC. And then you have to just kind of mail them an address, or you can Google and see if that company is a real company where they have a website and information. And you can probably find, contact them that way as well. Well,
and even with that, the LLC is still going to have a mailing address, even on the tax records. Right. You know what I'm saying? So you just title the letter to managing members.
Right.
to deciding managing member. I would like to buy the house at 123 Main Street with the tarp on it. Obviously, exactly. Y'all don't care about it anymore. We will buy it.
Exactly.
Is my mic on?
Yes.
You can hear her?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, people saying they can't hear you?
It was a job.
Okay.
I thought I would take my shot, be the next voice or something. Okay, so sticking with our questions, Freddie Medina has a question that I think a lot of people have issues with, and I think it can be so simple, but maybe it gets overcomplicated. So I'm gonna ask, can you explain the whole Earnest money deal? Do you pay them there and then? Does it come out of your check when you close the deal? So let's talk about Earnest money, the EMD, the Earnest money deposit, how it works when it's you and the seller, and then how it works when it's you and the buyer. So let's tackle that.
That's a really good question as well. And I started off, I'll let Ty finish it, but Earnest money, the way that you want to set it up in a wholesale deal is that you want, depending on who the seller is, you want to provide the least earnest money possible. $100, $10. If they're okay with 10, go with 10. They want 100 or 500, go with what they're looking for, the minimum. But make sure that your end buyer, have to put up that same amount of earnest money or more. So just in case, if your seller decides that they will sell $10, I still want to allow my end buyer to give me $10. Why? Because they need more skin in the game. I don't want you to drag my contract along because you don't care about $10. Anyone would lose $10. They don't care if they drag your contract out. But someone started putting up $500 or $1,000 earnest money, they have a little bit more skin in the game, and they care a little bit more about getting that deal closed. So I will always require that my end buyer put up minimum of $500 earnest money. But my AB contract, which is a contract between you and the seller, I will try to get them to accept as least earnest money as possible. So therefore, it just kind of go hand in hand. You can really use the earnest money from your end buyer to take care of the earnest money to your seller. And I still won't put none of that earnest money in anyone's hand. It will all go to the closing attorney in their escrow account. Now, can you put it in each other's hand? Absolutely, yes. I mean, it's really what you all decide that you all want to do. I just think best practice is dealing with the attorney and not putting earnest money or money into individuals' hands. But either one works. Yeah.
And I had a guy, I get calls. Will you answer one question for me?
Right.
So I was,
yeah. An hour later.
Right. Yeah. Hey, but anyway, so I answered his question. He said he had a deal. Where was he? I don't know what the property was at, but anyway, the guy wanted 1.4 million for it, and he was trying to figure out should he create an LLC to put it on the contract, and the buyer something was going on with the buyer, and they were going to pay 1.6 or whatever. But he didn't have it on the contract. I don't know how he was getting to those numbers with the buyer. I guess you can ask him always, but so anyway, so I just tried to push it forward. And we got to the earnest money. I said, well, how much earnest money? Because when you start talking about 1.4 million, they're not going to accept $10, right?
Right.
I would think most people know that, right? I know we say that, and you see this all over the internet. You've seen me promote it, $10, and trust me, I've done a lot of deals with $10 earnest money or whatever. But if I know I'm dealing with somebody trying to sell a property for 1.4 million, they are not going to take me serious if I put up $40, which is what he was trying to do on the contract. I said, have you just sent that over? He was like, not yet. I said, my man, I'm not trying to discourage you. Leave that deal alone. If you think you can put up $40 and these people take you serious, you'll frustrate yourself right in the bend, and you'll say, this doesn't work. No, it does work. Right. You need to educate yourself to give yourself the best chance to succeed. And so, I say educate for just forget about who you've been talking to on that deal there. I'm not, again, hopefully I'm wrong, but I'm just telling you, educate yourself so you'll know these small things, which is really a major thing, that you can't put up $40 on $1 million property. Don't take all this stuff literally. Some of it's, some sellers, you just have to talk to them. Once you talk to them, I can't put up $10 with them.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's a deal, but $10 ain't gonna work with them. You just gotta, come on, some of this, we can't tell you everything.
Right.
It just ain't possible, whatever. Some stuff you just gotta I don't like to use common sense, because what's common to one person may not be common to another, but this would be common sense that I know I can't put up $40 on $1 million property or whatever. You just have to feel out the seller and see what you can get away with. A lot of them just don't care. Or what that's where it normally comes down to. You just feel that they don't care about those details. They selling it to you really cheap, and you're solving their problem, which is that real estate for whatever reason. So,
that's a good point, Ty. That's a super good point. Because you have to fill out the situation. I mean, we can only give you the basics, or we can give you the cookie cutter, but every deal will be different. You have to fill it out based on the basics. The basic is Earnest money must be put up. How much of it the deal determines that, or the parties determine that, Absolutely right.
All right. Hopefully that answered your question there. Speaking of foundations, if you have a property that has foundation issues, should you run? I think we talked about this the other day. Foundations can cost from up in the repairs can be phenomenal.
That's fine.
It still has to be a numbers deal.
It's still numbers.
It's numbers.
Look, them normally the ones you could do great deals on, because the seller looking at it sitting there warped. Woo! You just be like that. Woo!
Exactly.
I see that crap.
Back. Woo, it is. This is terrible.
This is horrible. I'm surprised this house didn't fall out.
Jack it up. We got to tear it down, jack it up. It's
woo.
Woo. You almost have to get this away. This is a lot.
Hopefully it's on a house that has. Hopefully it's on a house that has an ARV of 300,000 though, instead of 30,000. Because if it's 30,000, you're right. Woo. I'll holler at you. That may cost more than the whole house.
Exactly.
So it can't matter, but it's just a repair. At the end of the day, it's just a repair. That's the point we get. It's just a repair.
But it's one of the most.
I wouldn't count it out. I will get your contractor over there to get an estimate, so you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you really want to get a foundation specialist over on those kind of things.
Yeah.
Okay. And speaking of crack, I'm scrolling through, and you know how you have the We Buy Ugly Houses and We Buy Houses. This Bandit sign, I don't know what wholesaler did this, says We Buy Crack Houses and regular.
Oh wow! What y'all in LA? What's going on?
He said we buy crack houses. He said we buy crack houses and regular ones too. Oh, that was on your page.
That's on yours.
It's on mine.
Yeah, some in the group.
You can't say that. You can't.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Have you got a lot of activity on that?
Huh?
I was asking, have you got a lot of responses from the crack house?
I can't see that. It's just someone posted I'm assuming a whole sign. I'm like, wow, that's catching though.
Oh
It catches the attention.
It's catchy.
I don't know if I would do that one, but
no, don't do that
I
one.
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that one. People may be like, I ain't got a crack house. It's a whole crack house, but they don't want to sell it because you called it a crack house.
Yeah. What you trying to say? Nothing.
Exactly. It could be touching. That could be grandma's house. They don't want to call it a crack house.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, you offended somebody.
Yeah, you might be.
Your mama was living in a crack house. Okay. Let's see. Next question. We're sticking on YouTube. Why do wholesale buyers or solicitors keep asking me to buy my new home that I just moved into?
Where is it?
This is on YouTube. I don't know.
I'm saying
What's
what
got
name?
equity in it?
What name? What name is?
Virtuosity Cash.
Okay.
So maybe this is someone who's just purchased a home and they're getting calls from wholesalers.
I guess they just asking out of curiosity. It probably, and I haven't done a lot of this, but and I'm gonna ask you, Renika. You know, I when I do direct mail, I only do absentee. I'm not gonna do just homeowners. Some people just do homeowners, right? They just do everybody in a particular area or zip code, whether they are absentee or owner. So that's probably why you're receiving it, because they just targeting everybody. They don't know what your situation. It's I want to try it, and I know I will at some point, because they just target everybody in that zip code. You don't know what the situation is. Might just going through a divorce. Hey, we out. Both of us out. Hey, here it is. You know what I'm saying? You just never know or whatever. So that's probably why you're receiving it, is that they're just targeting everybody that owns a house in that area, whether it's absentee or not. So.
Right. And I have done that. I have, I found a subdivision that, got a couple good properties in, and I had a buyer that wanted to buy more properties in that same subdivision. So I decided to send everyone a postcard asking, who's willing to sell their properties. So sometimes it comes at that moment where you may find that pocket that, hey, I want to buy everything in this pocket. So you send out a postcards to everybody in that pocket. So you could.
Okay, thank you. And again, that was from Virtuosity Cash.
Okay, I'll find it.
Okay. So on Instagram, Biological Slum says, I have a few multifamily leads, would love to flip, but do not have the funds for a down payment. Where do I partner and find private lenders? Golf.
But there you go. Here we go. Let it rip.
Well, it sounds like you may need private.
Yep, we just pitched the ball.
Okay, as a private lender, with commercial deals, you can lend up to 70-80%, but you have to always put skin in the game, 10, 20, 30%. So really, I think where your case scenario is coming in, how do you find that gap money? How do you find that 10, 20, 30% that you need? Because as a hard money lender, we'll give you 70, 80% of the purchase and 100% of your rehab. So, the key is, where do you find money to take care of that down payment is what I'm thinking you're probably really looking for. And you correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
And that comes from multiple sources. I mean, we could talk all day on raising private money. You have family and friends that have money. You have 401ks that you could, self-direct and get money out of those ways. You have our gap funding program, which will help you leverage your credit to receive up to $150,000. And if you get 4, 5, 10 people to go through that program, not for sure how much your apartment complex that you need and what that down payment is, but you have to maybe go out there and get creative with it to, to fund that gap. And that's exactly why we created the gap funding program, because it funds the gap. Finding 70 to 80% of money to buy your property is a given. We will all do that as hard money lenders, as long as equity is in there. However, the piece of the puzzle is your down payment that you have to fund by yourself. So you could raise that from multiple different sources, from raising money from just private people, family and friends, or you can leverage your credit. You can find a whole credit. You can, get a credit team together and say, hey, we all gonna go get our credit right. We're gonna go through the program, and then we're gonna take the money from there, and we're gonna buy this apartment complex. You have to get creative when you're looking to do something like that, and your resources are limited.
All right, guys. And Renika, if they are interested in your gap funding program, how do they get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So yes, if you all, looking to fix and flip, you need extra money to offset your expenses. You don't want to use your savings account. You want to leverage your credit. We have a program called Gap Funding, where we help you leverage your credit to receive up to $150,000 of unsecured credit. Now, if you want to apply for that, you go to findmynextdeal.com. And we also have an instant approval button on our site that we can instantly approve you right there on our site. If you are approved, we can move forward with getting you funded immediately. So just go to fundmynextdeal.com.
All right, there you have it, guys. Fundmynextdeal.com. And across all social media sites is Miss Renikia Williams. That's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. And if you need to email, you can email funding@fkfinancials.com. That is on your screen on YouTube, but for those on Instagram who can only listen, it's fundmynextdeal.com. Let's see here. Born Power. I've seen you post this probably like 10 times, and I haven't overlooked you. I was trying to save it. He wants to know, can you explain wholesaling lease options?
That's a good question. Wholesaling lease options. That's a good question.
It's all about terms initially. There's a couple of ways to go about it.
Like to hear it? Here it goes.
Well, the first thing is going to start with the terms, dealing with the actual seller. I'm assuming they're on board to actually do the lease with an option to buy. And so you can wholesale to an actual family that's going to live in the property, or you can wholesale to another investor and they're going to take over that transaction. Now, if you're going to wholesale to an actual family that's going to live in the property, and you're going to be transparent on all of this with the homeowner to make sure that they understand you're moving out of the way. Do not call me, call them. That's who you're going to start dealing with. Reason I'm saying that and reiterating, I did one of these earlier this year, and the lady right now, if something go wrong, guess who she going to call? She's still going to call me, and I'm out of it.
Right.
Anyway, so, but even though that was clear, you know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, so it just depends on how you want to go about it. You're going to wholesale to a family that's going to live there. You pick up your money through the down payment that they put down. Now, depending on what you and the seller agreed upon, you may have agreed upon nothing down, and so you'll keep it all. And you just have to do your numbers to make sure it's subtracted from the total end price if they ever purchased the property, or if the seller and you agreed on the actual price to put down, then you're just going to make sure that you charge the person that's going to move in or the investor more than what you're going to get the seller. So if the seller say, oh, well, I need at least $1,000 down, then you may charge the person that you're wholesaling the terms to, the lease option to $6,000. So you pick up the $5,000 difference or whatever. So it's that simple. But again, you just need to make sure you're clear on, I'm out of it once all this happens now. And the dude has done what he's supposed to do. I wholesale too. He's renovated the property and everything. So he was glad to get it, so.
Okay. So hopefully that answers your question there. A question, I'm going to try to combine a couple of them. So naturally, we always get the question about, is it a good idea to have an LLC to wholesale, and is it necessary? And looping another question into it, if I have an LLC, how do I sign the contract? Do I sign it in my name, or do I sign it as the LLC? Well, the second portion, I guess we can tackle that first. If you have an LLC, you should be a signer or owner of the LLC. So you just sign your name, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Any member of your LLC can sign on behalf of the LLC.
Right.
So
that knocks that question out. The next question is it a good idea to have an LLC to wholesale, and is it necessary? So good idea. We can just say yes. Necessary, depending on the volume, but is it necessary for that first deal is, I think, what a lot of newbies get caught up in. And I think what we typically tell them is if it's $100 for Bandit signs or advertising or marketing, or $100 for the LLC, if that's all you have, then naturally go with the marketing, Bandit signs, or advertising, and then get your LLC once you make that first deal. That one deal without the LLC is not going to make or break your business. So what are your thoughts on that, Renikia?
No, I actually agree with you. That first deal is not that serious. Just try to get your feet wet. Because I know resources and money could be limited. However, it is necessary to do business in an entity. It's very necessary to do business. So look at this as a business. Would you go out there and do any business under your name or LLC or any entity or a corp or S corp? Most importantly, the most importantly is that if you make a lot of money wholesaling, and if you do it all in your name, you cannot write off any of your expenses. You cannot lower your tax liability. That's one of the main things about having an entity, is that all the expenses associated with, building my business and creating my business, I can write all of that off so I don't have to pay taxes on it. So eventually, if you really want to be successful in this business, eventually you want to do this in an entity name.
Okay, there you have it. Yankee has a question, and it is, can I ask full price for a turnkey property? So turnkey, ready to go. Do you still ask your buyer for full price?
Absolutely not.
Everything
is negotiable. What I realize about offer prices is that no one really put out the exact amount that the minimum that they would take. They're always going to put something out there with some cushion in there where they can take less than what they're asking. Now, sometimes in certain situations, and they will tell you, this is, I'm totally strict on the price. The price is non-negotiable. And at that moment, you know what you're dealing with. But majority of properties out there, people always have a little cushion in there to go down a little bit. So it won't hurt you to go to offer a lower price. But I will always say that it depends on the demand in your area. Sometimes you can't afford to negotiate because there's so many sharks out there that if you try to lowball, they're just going to sell it to the person that gave them a higher offer. So try to just feel your way through the situation to kind of determine, is this a situation I can give a lower offer, or do I need to jump out there because I really want this and this is a big deal?
All right. Our codes on Instagram noted to always leave room to play. Leave a little room to play with.
Yeah.
When you're selling, you ask for more than what you're willing to take.
Mm-hmm.
When you're buying, you offer less than what you're willing to pay.
Yeah.
I'll put that on a shirt.
Too much.
Too much.
Offers are free need to go on a shirt, though.
Offers.
Offers are free.
You want that on the shirt?
I want that on the shirt.
Offers are free. I got you.
Offers are free. I like that because they are.
OAF.
No, the AF stands for something. Old people.
Oh yeah.
OAF. No, we ain't putting that on the shirt. Son Santana wants to know, and this is a good one, guys. So I want everyone to listen because people are always wondering what to do when that contract runs out. Mm-hmm. How to stall or what to say to the owner for 30 days while in search for a buyer. This is Son Santana on YouTube. Okay. So how you stall? How are we stalling?
That's a good question. So what are your initial contract is? Is your initial contract 30 days? Is the initial contract, 2 weeks, 7 days? What is that initial contract? Most importantly, what is that due diligence? Because they give you 30 days doesn't mean your due diligence is 30 days. That, so if you outside that due diligence, they have the right to take your earnest money. So, just understanding that timeline as well as you try to find this buyer is that, worst case scenario, if you outside of your due diligence time, they can keep your earnest money. But most importantly, one of the ways, and you really want to have this conversation before your due diligence in. It's like, hey, there's so many different ways. There's so many different things you can say to a buyer to try to stall it, but it's really up to the buyer. The seller to give you that extension. But you can tell them that, hey, I need to bring another contractor by there. Something's wrong with the roof, or just try to come up with problems of the property to see if they'd be willing to extend it. Now, when you outside of your due diligence, a lot of times sellers don't really mind extending it long they know they're about to close. So try to get them to extend their contract with absolutely no end buyer in place. Could be, that's going to be negotiable. You're going to have to really put on your negotiation hat with that. And it's going to be like, do you even want to extend it? Because it's already been 30 days. You haven't found a buyer yet. Do you want to, continue to forfeit your earnest money or your time extending that contract? So it really depends on the situation.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of times, if you've really felt you've marketed this property, and especially if you've had a lot of buyers, investors to look at it, and no one pulled the trigger. A lot of times you wouldn't get offers, but you get a lot of interest. And then sometimes when you get a lot of interest and you get offers and they're a lot less than what you got on the contract for, your market has spoken or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so you can get it down, or if you're not getting any offers in it, you just know you're probably so far from where you need to be. Probably just, you're going to have properties you put on the contract that you won't be able to do deals on if you do this long enough. That's even if you had $10 million in the bank. You know what I'm saying? Everything you put on the contract, you're not going to buy or whatever. That's real estate. That's real estate. That's part of the due diligence process. But as a wholesaler, sometimes you're just not going to be able to find a buyer for whatever reason. Maybe you still green in the game, you miscalculated, or whatever the situation is, or whatever. But if you have to go back and you need more time because you do have a buyer ready to go, but they need another week because you only had 2 days left, or whatever, or they need at least a week to just do the normal title process, then you go back and just let them know, hey, we need another week. I got my funding in place, my funding partner. We just pulled the title. We need another week. Most people are cool with that. It's just going to be so rare that people are not cool to wait another week on it. You know what I'm saying? And if they don't, you may want to increase the price to give them a little bit more incentive or whatever to do business with you, whatever. Then some people just won't do it. So, hey, you have to charge that to the game.
Mm-hmm. And to add that fact that you just said that money talks. So increasing the price, giving them more earnest money. If you really feel confident about finding an end buyer and getting that deal closed and you can make $10,000, $15,000, hey, I'll give you an additional $500. We can extend this contract for another 2 weeks. Or, hey, what about additional $5,000 on the price or whatever, another $1,000 on the price. But money talks in this business. Lead with money in some scenarios when you need someone to do something for you like that. Don't lead with money. See if they would do it for free first. And then, let that be your last resort.
Money is the secret weapon.
Now, speaking of those deals, and we mentioned stalling or extending your contract, Travis Riggins, I see your question or your statement rather here on YouTube. You say, I lost 5 deals because I couldn't find a buyer. You mentioned that you found your sellers from them sending over information to my website. So I guess I'm curious to know, if you've lost 5 deals because you couldn't find a buyer, did you have deals that buyers would have thought were deals in the first place?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So were they even deals? Did the numbers matter? Did the numbers add up rather?
Yeah. Well, what were your numbers on those deals? We'll let us, post those. Might not have time tonight, but you may want to post those numbers on those deals. We, be happy to answer that for you on the next go round.
Yeah, and he said they were in small towns, so that says a lot.
Oh, that says a lot.
It says a lot.
Yeah, a lot. It's that activity, man. You can whenever you start doing your due diligence and there are not any transactions, no comps. That's tough. That's like nobody's buying there. You know what I'm saying? So who you gonna sell to if nobody's buying there? So.
Sure. On Instagram, before it goes down, because you only allotted an hour, we have someone who says they're still stuck on skip tracing. I was driving for dollars today, and Deal Machine and Landglide, both great services to figure out addresses of properties and get owner information. But both of those had 2 different addresses. Well, they had the same address, but the county tax website had another one. Which one should I send my mail to?
I'll probably send them.
Oh,
All of them.
All of them.
Both
D,
of
all of the above.
Both of them.
So
No, yeah, send them to everybody. Hey.
yeah, if we're talking about a 50-cent stamp.
Worst case scenario, you get a return mail. You
Yeah.
get some return mail. Worst case scenario.
And you know you're asking the right one here. And Mr. Flipman, it's a really, really good deal. He's sending it UPS certified. Make sure they get it. So no questions asked.
Certified.
Both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instagram has logged off, so hopefully they heard that, heard the answer to that question. Answering a few more from YouTube, we have, let's see here. Recently, amazing change. Your question was the same one from Instagram. So if you didn't catch it, we suggested that you send a letter or a notice to both addresses. I mean, if you're skip tracing and you got two different ones, just go ahead. It's not going to hurt. Let's see here. Next question from Joel Arroyo. Where can I find contracts to put my homes in a trust to avoid liability under my personal name? So,
well, the purchase and sales agreement are not going to set up the trust. That's going to be during the closing process, the pre-closing process on how you want to buy your properties and how you want them, I guess, the ownership status. So the actual purchase and sales agreement themselves are not going to do that. They just initiate the transaction. That's going to be on the attorney or title company level. So.
okay, there you have
From
it.
my understanding, what do you know about it, Renika?
No, I totally agree. That's a good idea, though. It's good that you're thinking like that. There's so many benefits with dealing with a trust. They can't be sued. There are no taxes. A lot of benefits of dealing with a trust, but I think it's definitely multiple ways to buy in a trust. Purchasing it and deeding it into the trust name at closing table. Or I want to say that you can really buy your property using your trust. But don't call me on that. You have to talk to your trust accountant or trust attorney.
Okay. JJ, how do you sell vacant houses that are boarded up when it comes to taking pics for your buyers? So the house is boarded up, doors locked. What do you do? I'm bored. I'm just
First, I'm gonna ask the seller, how do I gain access to the property?
Yep.
If they tell me to bring my tools,
That's it. That's what you want.
that's usually what they will. If it's boarded up, they'll tell you bring your tools. So you just bring your tools and get in how you get in.
Yeah, that makes it easy. Then you just tell the investor to go over there with his tools. You know what I'm saying? And now you may want to go over there and do it yourself. But knowing me, I'm going to assume that the inside doesn't even exist when I'm negotiating. And I'm sending them over there to take a look at it. But anyway, the right way to do it is go there and take a look at it yourself. So
that question in regards to the trust and LLC, he clarified that he meant for buying and holding and creating a trust for himself.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, create your trust first, and you could. It's like a deed over, or you can purchase into your trust. But your attorney would do that.
Yeah. I've been trying to check some trees in California, and I see a lot of properties in trust there. A lot.
There's so many benefits with trust.
Yeah.
I mean, when you say they cannot be sued, you're paying no taxes. I don't know where you are, but I have a really good trust accountant and trust attorney. And I mean, literally Rockefeller Trust. I mean, trusts are untouchable. You cannot sue a trust. Trust doesn't pay taxes. So all that money you making, it can be, just non-taxed. Trusts have a lot of benefits. I would recommend for everybody eventually who's looking to build residual income like that to put your properties in trust.
All right, there you have it. Our Carp, who's from Montgomery, you can, in order to take advantage of any of Ty's courses and or videos or any of that, you're more than welcome to visit.
Flipman.net. Just tap on the Flipman logo. It'll take you to the
Can you sound just a
catalog.
little bit more enthused? You want me to get up?
What?
I got it. Flipman.net. Again, that's flipman.net. If you go there and click on the Flipman logo, it'll direct you to any of the information that you're asking in regards to purchasing the course available to you. But do not forget, there's 375 plus videos, probably and more, and counting on YouTube that are free of charge for your viewing pleasure, for you to binge on them, then get to grinding and stacking your coins on your wholesaling venture. Also, do not forget to go to dealulator.com. That is dealulator.com, where you can attain the one-page contract that Ty has been using for his entire wholesaling career. It works everywhere, guys. Don't even begin asking where it does and doesn't work. It works. If your seller and or buyer chooses not to use it, that's one thing, but it does work and it's available to you free of charge. And also, if you go to dealulator.com, there is a calculator right there on the first page to help you determine whether your deal is in fact a deal. So make sure you go there when you're questioning whether your numbers are adding up. You just simply plug and chug and use that. And then also, while you're there, dealulator.com, aka PropStream, if you want to use the 5-day trial period before you sign up, and add that as a tool to your wholesaling war chest. For those of you interested in the gap funding or any other financial resources that Ms. Renikia Williams and her company can provide, make sure you visit fundmynextdeal.com. She also is available across all social media platforms under her first and last name, Renikia Williams. And without further ado, we're going to see you next week. We appreciate you joining us. Be sure to bring a friend. We're here Thursday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here, where you can visit Flip and the Flip crew. And Ty, you got anything?
That's it.
That's it. All right. Yeah, you got anything for the peoples?
That's it. You did a great job.
All I got to say is OAF.
Ooh, OAF. Hashtag.
Hashtag OAF. Over, guys. His offers are free. All right. We'll have that shirt next week. All right. We'll see you guys on the flip side.